This is Ira Glass of This American Life. Each week on our show, we choose a theme, tell different stories on that theme. All right, I'm just going to stop right there. You're listening to an NPR podcast. Chances are you know our show. So instead, I'm going to tell you, we've just been on a run of really good shows lately. Some big, epic, emotional stories, and some weird, funny stuff, too. Download us, This American Life.
Hello and welcome to Car Talk from National Public Radio with us, Click and Clack, the Tappet Brothers, and we're broadcasting this week from the Sports Wisdom Department.
Wait, before we get to sports wisdom, I find it curious that this is a radio show where people call us and ask us questions about cars, right?
Well,
and what were we
generally
just talking about before the mics came on? We were both talking about what's wrong with our respective vehicles. This is happening to mine. The charges, the system's not working. It's pretty sad.
Well, the real question is, who do we call?
Who do we call? Right? I call you when I have a problem.
I know enough not to call you.
All right, back to sports wisdom. We have here from David Leventhal from God only knows where. A bunch of quotations, presumably made by people in sports. Now, you know how much I love sports. Not only sports, but the people involved in sports, because they are such men of such erudition. Men that what I love more than anything is hearing guys say, well, if we're going to get to the playoffs, I guess we're going to have to win a lot of games. No kidding.
Yeah, we're going to take this one game at a time. Is there any other option?
Well, here are a few real quotes. Here we go.
We're going to try to win 2 games with the next game we play.
Shelby Metcalf, basketball coach at Texas A&M, recounting what he told a player who received 4 Fs and 1 D for grades. Son, looks to me like you're spending too much time on one subject. Frank Layden, Utah Jazz president, on a former player. I told him, son, what is it with you? Is it ignorance or apathy? And he said, Coach, I don't know, and I don't care. Here's my personal favorite. Pat Williams, Orlando. This is a good one. Pat Williams, Orlando Magic general manager, on his team's 7-27 record. We can't win at home. We can't win on the road. As general manager, I just can't figure out where else to play. I love it. All right.
Well, if you have some of your own wisdom to share with us,
yes, please
call
do.
us at please share with us. 1-800-332-9287. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Michaela. I'm in Arlington, Texas. How are you guys?
Michaela.
Yes.
Does it have an A in the middle of it, or is it just ELA?
It's ALA.
Michaela?
That's correct.
That's not Michaela. That's Mikala.
No, it's Michaela.
Whatever you say, dear.
I'm going to tell my mom to call you and tell you
no, that's all right.
Because she came up with the spelling.
She did?
Yes, she did.
I mean, what national origin is she?
She is Irish.
Well, that answers it.
Well,
that
there you go.
explains everything. What does she know about Michaela?
All she knows is she heard the name when she was young and liked it and decided to name a daughter that.
Yeah.
So,
I like it.
Anyway, what's up?
This last New Year's Eve, I parted ways with the Toyota MR2, which had served me very, very well for 10 years, and bought a Camry.
Brand new?
It was a 96. It was a year-end model.
Yeah.
Had about 5,800 miles on it.
Good.
I drive it quite a bit, but then when I took a longer road trip where it was like, I drove to Austin, which is like 3 hours away.
Yeah.
And when I got up, and it's all highway, so of course you got the radio going, and you're talking in the car. You're not listening, and plus it's like a new car, you know? Who listens to a new car?
Exactly.
So we get down there, and I get off the highway to pull into a gas station, and the engine is making a noise that sounds like, choke, choke, I'm not getting any oil. I'm like, no, this can't be. I've heard this sound before, and it was like right before I had to put a new engine in a car. And I'm going, no, this can't be true.
Oh.
And so I'm thinking, oh, golly. So when I get back, I bought the 100,000-mile warranty.
Good.
And I called the dealership, and I said, well, just doesn't sound happy. And they say, change your oil more often. And I change it. Like this car, I change it like every 2,500 miles just to be,
Did
really
they actually
sure
talk
that
like that?
everything's going to be fine and it'll last forever.
Michaela, did they talk like that? Oh, change your oil more often. Are you just making fun of mechanics
I'm
in
making
general?
fun of them, and I'm terribly sorry because they didn't sound like that at all because they're from Texas. Anyway, they said it a little slower.
little
They said it a little reassuringly, like no big deal.
Okay.
And all that kind of stuff.
What is this noise exactly?
It just sounds like a clatter, not a real loud clatter, but it sounds like there's like a valve knocking or something.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
and it speeds up as you speed up the engine, right? So it's a click, 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 and then if you rev up the engine, it goes click, 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 it goes faster.
Yeah.
Okay.
You hesitated
See,
there.
because I don't hear it every day because I don't drive
Right.
at least 100 miles.
And it only happens when you drive the car the greatest distance. Is this a 4-cylinder Camry?
It is a 4-cylinder Camry, and it's an automatic.
Yeah, I think you have sticky valves.
Sticky valve.
Sticky valves.
Sticky valve sounds like a Christmas treat.
Yes, it is.
And when you drive a great distance, like from Arlington to Drano, Texas, you're going to heat the engine up enough to make one or more of the valves stick, and you will hear the cam whacking against the valve, which is not completely closed, and the engine will not only make a noise, but it may even run rough. And when it gets real bad, you'll begin to lose power.
Okay.
They should try putting a cleaner run a cleaner through the engine.
Sure.
Snap-on Tools sells this thing called the Motor Vac.
Motor vac.
Motor Vac, and it's a system that flushes out the valve train and cleans all the crud out of the valve train and frees up sticky valves.
Flushes out the valve train?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you buy this from the dealer?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're going to do this for nothing.
They are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So in other words, they were just pushing me away because they don't want to mess with warranty work.
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, they were giving you what we call here in the Northeast the bum's rush.
Oh, no.
I would go back to the dealership and make as much noise as the engine is making.
Yeah.
They'll fix it for you.
I can do that.
See you, Michaela.
Okay, thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
Bye-bye. 1-800-332-9287. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Yeah, hello. This is Jed Smith calling in from Budapest, Hungary.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
You're really calling from Hungary?
Yeah, I'm calling from Hungary.
You really are. It sounds like you are.
What are you what are you doing in Budapest?
What am I doing? I work for the United States Treasury Department, and I go around helping ministries of finance in Central Europe
Counterfeit American
raise
money.
in the international market.
I got it. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Interesting.
So, what kind of a car do you have there in Budapest?
Under State Department guidelines, I was allowed to bring one car from the United States.
Oh, you live there.
I live here.
You're not just on a little junket.
I'm not on a junket. I've been here for 3 years. So
Wow. Oh, so you brought your car from Washington, D.C.
they gave me a 20-foot container, and they said,
Fit it in.
you can take anything you want
That fits in there.
and it fits in there.
Yeah.
And I'm from New England, and I like a good deal. So if I got a 20-foot container, I was going to use the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I brought a 91 Chevrolet Suburban over here.
The ugly American. Boy, don't you fit the description. You come over to Hungary, you take up 5 parking spots with your car.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But you guys laugh, but this thing is a great thing to have in Hungary because I know you guys are from Boston area, and Budapest traffic is just like Boston traffic. I mean, roads go, 9 roads converge on one square.
Yeah.
And you put on top of that the fact that most of these people didn't have their driver's license until after the fall of communism. So most people have had their licenses about 5 years.
Oh.
So imagine driving in Boston where every other car is driven by the equivalent of a teenager.
Whoa. Yeah.
Sounds like Boston.
It sounds like Boston.
It is. Yeah.
And the intimidation value of the Suburban is great.
Yeah. So what's the question, if any?
All right. This is the question.
Yeah.
It's a 91, 1500, so it's a half-ton, 4x4, and I have the 6.2 diesel engine in it as opposed to the gas engine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I must have hit a rock driving down in Romania, or I start looking underneath the car, and it's dripping fuel for the first time.
Mm.
And the fuel is dripping right off the fuel pump. So I called my father back in Gloucester, and he went down to Sudbury's, which is the local Chevy dealer.
Yeah.
Got me a pump, sent it over to Hungary, and I sat there with my Haynes manual out and grease all over my hands, and I put this new unit in.
Good.
Cool.
Good.
This is just the feed pump.
This is just a feed pump.
This is conveying fuel from the tank up to the injector pump.
Exactly.
Got it.
Now, I turn the car on, it starts right up, and it runs for about a minute. And then all of a sudden it starts going bucking away, and bam, it dies.
I love it.
And it's dead cold. And I suddenly started thinking, I said, oh my God, this thing has been dripping on in the garage for about 2 weeks waiting for this part to get to America, and there's got to be air in the fuel lines, and I've got to taken that air from the fuel pump and rammed it into the injectors.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
You did, yeah. It's all airbound.
It's all airbound. And so this is my question, and I'm trying to get up to Warsaw for Thanksgiving, so I got to get this thing started.
You might make it.
Is this the kind of thing where I charge up the batteries, and despite the fact that the manual says, don't do it,
Don't.
I give it a spray of starting fluid?
Don't.
Oh.
Don't.
Don't.
No. First of all, there's probably a bleed. I don't know anything about these. We don't let diesels in the building. But I'm sure there's a bleeder someplace.
There's a bleeder.
Yeah, and you may be able to even, in fact, you may be able to crack the line where it comes from the feeder pump to the injector pump,
Yep.
and you may be able to run the electric pump
Put a
Right.
put a
And use-
coffee can under the place where you loosen the line.
and use that to prime the thing and purge the system of air.
Okay.
There's always the possibility, albeit small, that you have wired the electric pump backwards, so that the injector pump's trying to pull fuel out of the tank, and you're trying to push it back in with this thing.
No, but I think I got it in the right way.
I mean, from what you described, it's more likely that it's airbound than it is that you hooked it up backwards.
Yeah, I don't think I hooked it up backwards.
I don't think you did
I mean,
either.
I really followed the manual
Yeah, but
carefully.
I would definitely check that, though.
Good picture.
Yeah. Well, see if the fuel level in the tank is going up.
Exactly.
If not, you can bleed it easily.
Okay.
Well, Jed, hope you make it to Warsaw for the holiday.
Okay.
But if not, call us back.
All right.
We'll have
Well,
some of
thank
the
you very much,
sage
guys.
advice. Bye-bye.
Good luck and thanks for calling.
By the
All
way,
right,
if anyone
bye-bye.
else wants to call us from Europe and feels like spending $25 or $30 on
How
a
would they do it?
non-toll-free call, you can call whatever the country code is for the U.S. of A. You dial that, and then 617-353-6350. There's a lot more stuff coming up right after the following messages, so stick around.
The House of Representatives has approved a White House request to claw back 2 years of previously approved funding for public media. The rescissions package now moves on to the Senate. This move poses a serious threat to local stations and public media as we know it. Please take a stand for public media today at goacpr.org. Thank you.
Decades ago, Brazilian women made a discovery. They could have an abortion without a doctor, thanks to a tiny pill. That pill spawned a global movement, helping millions of women have safe abortions regardless of the law. Hear that story on The Network from NPR's Embedded and Futuro Media, wherever you get your podcasts.
These days, there is a lot of news. It can be hard to keep up with what it means for you, your family, and your community. Consider This from NPR as a podcast that helps you make sense of the news. 6 days a week, we bring you a deep dive on a story and provide the context, the backstory, and analysis you need to understand our rapidly changing world. Listen to the Consider This podcast from NPR.
You know those things you shout at the radio or maybe even at this very NPR podcast? On NPR's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, we actually say those things on the radio and on the podcast. We're rude across all media. We think the news can take it. Listen to NPR's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me wherever you get your podcasts.
Since my brother always remembers the puzzle these days,
I mean, we're not.
I guess I'll just have to launch right into it. In fact, you know what? Why don't you do it. I mean, because you remember it so well.
I do. And I remember very clearly that when you proposed this puzzle last week, I said, this is so simple. It can't possibly be that it's as simple as that.
Right. What part of it particularly was simplistic?
It had to do with headlights, did it not?
Oh!
It just came to me. Had to do with headlights.
I had him on the ropes, folks.
You
I had
did.
him for a standing 8 count.
But under pressure, you notice?
Saved by the bell.
I mean, earlier today I couldn't remember it. Here's the scenario. We're driving through the Sahara Desert. No, I don't remember it.
Should I just do it?
Yeah, you do it. I don't remember it that
This
well.
was submitted by Christine Hahn via cyberspace. And I think I mentioned last week that all the information you need is embedded in this little narrative. She says, I lived for a year doing medical research in Tanzania, East Africa, and at my disposal were 2 vehicles, a blue Mitsubishi Pajero of unknown vintage and an 81 Land Cruiser. I lived several miles outside of town on a long, bumpy dirt road, which became a long, muddy road during rainy season. It was always a challenge to drive.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, hints galore.
Oh!
One evening, as I was cruising in the Mitsubishi, I noticed that whenever I let up on the gas pedal, the headlights dimmed, and I was forced to keep my foot on the accelerator the entire way into town, where my trusty mechanic diagnosed an electrical problem, a wire had apparently shaken loose.
Parenthesis, red herring.
Yeah. Red alert.
Red herring.
The wire was refastened and the problem was solved.
Yeah.
Not more than 2 weeks later, I was navigating the road in the other vehicle, the Land Cruiser, when I noticed, much to my dismay, that the headlights were dimming on that one, too. It was getting dark, and in fear of being stranded out in the middle of nowhere, I accelerated again, wondering if I had another loose wire. The headlights didn't really seem to respond, but in my anxiety, I wasn't sure, so I kept accelerating.
Yeah.
I was making steady progress toward town, when just as I reached the paved road, I hit a stationary object, like a rock, and blew out one of my tires. With a heavy heart, I came to a stop. Lyndon Johnson must have helped me right there.
Yeah.
Turned off the car and began to change the flat tire, and during the course of the tire change, I discovered what was wrong with the car.
Wow.
I managed to fix it without opening the hood. In fact, I fixed it with the sleeve of my jacket.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had to put that in because you got to give people a fighting chance. It could have been a lot of different things.
I don't think so. I don't think I thought that hint was going a little bit too far.
Well, you should have said something at the time. Well,
I thought you had a good reason for making it that simple because maybe you had a relative who wanted to win and didn't have the brains to come up with anything for an answer except for this one.
So you think it's fixed, eh? The fix is in?
Well, it could be. It could be, and I left it up to you.
Was what was wrong with Christine's car that she was able to effect a repair with her sleeve on?
Whoa, yes.
And what was wrong was that her headlights were covered with mud.
Yeah. From the dusty,
from the first paragraph,
dirty road of the first paragraph,
which
was not a red herring.
Who's our winner?
Our winner this week is Dave Weingartner from Anaheim, California. He sent this answer in by email, and since we know, because of that he has a computer, instead of sending him a CD, we're going to send him one of the brand new, full-color Car Talk mouse pads, which shows my brother and myself performing surgery on an engine in an operating room. This is part of the holiday customer fleece collection, now on sale at Car Talk's Shameless Commerce Division on the website www.
Now, he probably doesn't have a computer at home. He has one at work.
Of
so
course.
when he brings the mouse pad to work, his
Sure.
co-worker's going to ask where he got it.
Yeah.
He'll have to admit that he answered the puzzler correctly, and they'll know that because he doesn't have one at home that he used the work computer, and he'll get fired. That's it for Dave.
Right, and they'll say, hey, Dave, when you get fired, can I have your mouse pad?
Anyway, we'll have a brand new puzzler coming up during the second half of today's show, having to do with folklore and history.
Ooh,
and
I love those.
Baseball. So don't touch that dial. In the meantime, we'll take your calls at 1-800-332-9287. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
My name is Alana, and I'm calling you from Rogers, Arkansas.
Alana with an A?
Mm-hmm.
A-L-A-N-A?
All right.
Where in Arkansas are you?
Rogers.
Not that it makes any difference to me because I don't know a single thing. I couldn't even name you a city in Arkansas.
Oh, really? Well, we're in the northwest corner.
Our president is from Arkansas.
Right.
Little Rock?
Little Rock. That's 4 hours away from
Hey,
here.
I named a city.
There you go. I knew you could do it.
How about Selma?
No, that's Alabama.
Oh,
but
okay.
it starts with an A. Anyway, Alana, what can we do for you today?
Well, I had kind of a little problem, but it was kind of scary to me. I have a 91 Honda Civic that has 156,000 miles on it, and I've been putting gasoline in my own car ever since we started doing that sort of thing. And what I do is I fill up the gas tank until it clicks off at the pump. I don't top it because
You don't burp it.
I don't burp it, okay?
Good.
Okay, so I filled the tank, and I didn't put the cap on right away. I just went into the station to pay my bill.
$25.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And when I came back, the gas was flowing out of the gas tank.
From the filler?
From my tank.
But you don't know where from your tank.
No, you mean right out
right out where I put the
where
gas
you put the gas in.
It was coming out, So I put the cap back on and I drove out because I didn't want to be, involved. I didn't want to have that gasoline around me. And since then, it's never happened again. But I was just wondering what would cause it to have the gas, because I don't want it to happen again.
Well, I believe what's going on here. Now, I have to ask a question first.
Okay.
And once I get the answer to that question.
I know the question.
Go ahead.
Was it a hot day?
No.
No, it's not a hot day.
Has anyone done work on the car because you had a problem with the car losing power at high speed?
Well, I just had the ignition switch replaced, or the ignition timer replaced a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, the igniter.
The igniter, mm-hmm.
Did the guys who put the igniter in, did they work on the car several times before they figured out it was the igniter?
No, I just described the situation where I had to keep the key turned all the way over before it would go.
And they knew what it was.
Yeah. And they said, fine.
All right, well, there goes. I thought that if you had one of these problems, that it was possible that somebody, in an attempt to solve it, had drilled out the gas cap to allow it to vent to the atmosphere.
Oh.
But that gas cap you have is faulty.
It is?
Yeah, because when it's on there, it ain't supposed to leak.
No, she didn't put the gas cap in.
I didn't have the gas cap in.
What the hell were you doing paying your bill without the gas cap on?
I don't know. I've never
Weren't
done
you
that before.
paying attention? She said
I'm still on Alana from Ken Rogers, Alabama.
Arkansas.
Oh, right.
No, she specifically said she didn't put the gas cap on until she went in to pay. And when she came out, the gas was pouring out the open, uncapped filler neck tube.
I got it. Well,
I wondered why you had a theory, and I didn't understand what it was.
Why didn't you give me a dope slap? Jeez. All right.
Whoa. Yeah, so now what? Big brain.
Well, I don't know. I'm back to square zero
back
here.
Back to square zero. Yeah, that's where I've been all the time. You see now the beauty of misunderstanding the question.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be all right if I answered that other question?
No, sure, fine.
No.
Well, I mean, there are strange dynamics inside the tank because don't forget there's air trapped in there. There are baffles. I mean, the tank is not just a container. It's not like the kind of a gas can that you fill up for your lawnmower.
Yeah, that's true. And the little flap does, in fact, prevent the air from getting out.
Okay.
So
was the tank completely empty when you started this operation, or was the tank half full?
No, it usually is pretty empty when I fill it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I suspect that some air that was trapped inside pushed the gasoline up the filler neck, and it's nothing to worry about. I thought it was leaking with the cap on.
No.
And obviously that's wrong.
Yeah,
if it were, the cap would have been bad.
Okay.
The most obvious conclusion here is you put the gasoline in, the tank is full of air. As you put the gasoline in,
now, I hate to interrupt, but you should have just said, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope we answered your question, but instead you have to go off and try to explain dark matter. I mean, give it up. You've done a good enough job.
No.
I mean, Stephen Hawking doesn't go places he ain't supposed to. He knows when to stop.
He goes everywhere, man.
No,
he goes everywhere.
He knows when to stop.
I was going to have a disclaimer at the end, because you recall what I said was the most obvious conclusion to reach is that you put the gasoline in, and the gasoline is trying to displace the air that was in the tank, because the tank wasn't empty, it was full of air.
Okay.
And as you put the gasoline in, the air goes up to the top, and gets what? Compressed up there. Then you pull out the nozzle, and you got compressed air sitting on top of gasoline.
Okay.
And so it doesn't like to be compressed.
And because the flap is closed,
that's where I was getting stuck.
It takes a while before that gas can get past the little flap.
Exactly.
And it takes about as much time as it takes for an ordinary cash transaction. Did you pay cash or did you charge?
Charge.
There goes that
see,
theory.
there you go.
Yeah, I don't understand it now.
No, charge is slower.
Charge is slower.
That's good. So it took longer.
Oh, all right.
That's good. So it took
Sounds good.
It took longer, and by the time you got out, the pressure had decreased and brought with it. How does it decrease? By sneaking out that little flap
And bringing
brought
gasoline
with it some gasoline.
All right.
I think you're all right.
Okay. Well,
Don't drive
I
like my
appreciate
brother.
you. I really appreciate you calling.
See you.
Thank you.
See
Thanks,
you, Lana.
Alana.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Don't move because more calls and the new puzzler are coming right up.
On the plus side, you get sponsor-free listening to over 25 NPR podcasts. On the minus side, you get fewer chances to tap fast forward on your podcast player. On the plus side, you get to support something you care about. On the minus side, you like challenges and think this makes it too easy. So why don't you join us on the plus side of things with NPR Plus? Learn more and sign up at plus.npr.org.
As conflicts spread across the Middle East, it can be hard to keep up with important developments. Stay on top of the world with the State of the World podcast from NPR. With journalists across the Middle East and around the globe, we get you caught up on what matters in just a few minutes. Listen to State of the World from NPR every weekday.
It all starts with listening to the person in front of you and the person you'll never meet, to the person living a story and the journalist who helps you see it in a new light. The NPR network is built on listening, with microphones in every region, so we're there anytime a voice or sound demands to be heard. Hear stories in the first person, hear the bigger picture on NPR.
On Fridays, the 1A podcast is all about helping you cut through the info fog and get to what's important in the news. Close out the week with us on our Friday News Roundup. Hear from reporters who've been embedded with the biggest news of the week. Join us every week for the Friday News Roundup. Listen to the 1A podcast from NPR and WAMU.
Hi, we're back. You're listening to Car Talk from National Public Radio with us, Click and Clack, the Tappet Brothers, and we're here to discuss cars, car repair, and a brief rant. What's this about? Underwear?
No, not a brief rant in that respect.
Oh, okay.
Actually, it's a brief rant and another interesting little thing. I'm watching TV the other day, and I see an ad for Lexus.
Was your mouth open while you were watching this?
No.
Were you lying down?
I was upright.
Okay.
I was upright, sitting in a chair. And Lexus is advertising, I believe it was the SC300, which they advertised, and one of the features they advertised was the fastest luxury sports car on the road. Accelerates to 60 miles an hour in a minute and a second and a half. Whatever it was.
GS400.
Whatever it was. Then, yesterday, I was also sitting upright, not watching television, doing something else, and reading a magazine. And I read an ad for the 1998 4x4 of the year Jeep Cherokee, Grand Cherokee. Never before has a Jeep offered so much power. 5.9 liter, 0 to 60 in 7 seconds. I've noticed a general trend among advertisers for speed and muscle. Are we back in the 50s?
Yes.
The 60s?
Yes.
And by what right do they do this? Don't they have any moral sense?
I will give you 3 numbers, which will explain it all to you.
38, 20.
No. No. Pamela Anderson is not.
That ain't it. Yeah?
$1.29.
$1.29.
Which is what I paid for gas today when I filled up the tank of the Camry, which you left me empty.
I never even drove the Camry.
It must have been Berman then.
No, I mean, I don't think it's right to be pushing this power speed thing.
They have to push something.
Come on.
They have to push. They have to differentiate their vehicle from the competition.
Well, that is not the way to do it. First of all,
if gasoline were $5 a gallon, do you think they'd be building a 5.9 liter engine?
Well, then gasoline should be $5 a gallon.
Well, that's what you really should be ranting about.
I'm sick of
Get your rant
And
in
I
order.
would recommend people don't buy the Grand Cherokee because they're doing advertising that's unacceptable to us, and don't buy a Lexus for the very same reason. Now what?
Well, it's time for the new puzzler.
Yeah.
I can't take credit or discredit for this.
Good.
I will assign that to its author, Philip Brett, who sent this to us via email. And you can heap either praise or criticism on him as is
Yeah,
required.
we're going to give out his home address and everything.
Absolutely.
Phone numbers.
This has to do, well, he writes, this has to do with baseball. He says, this puzzler involves an historic baseball game, which took place in June of this past year, i.e. 1997. It was notable not for what happened that day, but for what didn't happen.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with the actual playing of the game, so to speak. It was not a statistical kind of thing. Is that a fair hint?
Yeah, okay.
It was not a no-hitter or a double no-hitter. It was,
Yeah, okay, that's a good hint. That's
a good hint.
Yeah.
So what happened in June?
Or what didn't happen?
Or what, more importantly, a lot of things didn't happen. But what of the things that didn't happen, what was the most important of those vis-a-vis Major League Baseball?
Yeah.
And by the way, the last time that this didn't happen was like maybe more than 50 years ago.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah.
And if you think you know the answer, send it to Puzzler Tower, Car Talk Plaza, Box 3500, Harvard Square, Cambridge.
Our fair city.
Ma 02238. Or you can email us your answer, of course, from our website, cartalk.msn.com. Just click on the Talk to Car Talk section. And if we choose your correct answer at random from all the correct answers that we are apt to receive,
both,
you'll get your copy of our brand new CD called Men Are From GM, Women Are From Ford, or you'll get our mouse pad or some other crummy gift that we're trying to get rid of. By the way, the number is 1-800-332-9287 if you'd like to talk to us. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
This is Dave from Bemidji, Minnesota.
Say it again. Bemidji?
Dave from Bemidji, Minnesota.
Bemidji. Yeah, how do you spell it?
B-M-I-D-J-I.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bemidji.
And what state are we in?
Northern
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Bemidji. That is great. Wow.
Of course. Where are you guys from?
We're from Boston-y.
Boston-y.
So what's up, Dave?
Okay. Yeah, look here.
Yeah.
You ready for a story?
Sure.
Okay. What I did is I came from the great state of Washington.
Yeah.
And I met a girl in the great state of Minnesota.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. And she wanted to go see Alaska, right?
Yeah.
So I says, okay, we'll load up the car, and we got no troubles, and, we happen to have the finances at the time, and we threw everything into an 85 Cavalier.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, we drive across, and we get to Washington, and we jump on the ferry, and we go up to Haines, Alaska, and we do Alaska and everything. She hated it, by the way. I says, why? She says, well, it looks like northern Minnesota. Anyway.
Just a lot farther away.
Yeah. So anyway, we come back, and we decide, well, hell, we'll drive through British Columbia and come down the Alcan Highway, the famous Alcan Highway.
Yep.
And we're coming down the road, and the car just overheats. We got a lot of stuff in there now.
Yeah. All those treasures you bought up in Alaska.
Yeah,
and the
right.
dogs. Don't forget the dogs.
Seal skins and what have you.
All right.
Yeah,
all
live
that
seal.
contraband.
And all those phony Cuban cigars. All right, so you're on the Calcan Highway, and the thing's overheating.
Right. And I'm the man, I said, no problem. It just overheated. We need some radiator fluid or whatever, I get out, and I go, Jesus, I can't get in the trunk because we got 8,000 pounds of stuff in here.
Cuban cigars.
Well, whatever,
Whatever,
Cigarettes are good, too, But, so I pull all this stuff out, and I get back to this little teeny toolbox that I thought would suffice once we left Minnesota, which is a how do you call it, a lure or fishing box.
Yeah.
You know, and I got a crescent wrench and 3 different kinds of ratchets that have no sockets.
And you don't have any vice grips?
Nope.
Oh, the
What
classic
kind of a
tool.
Minnesotan are you?
So anyway, so I go, no problem, you know, we'll go up underneath the hood. So we pop the hood and look in there, and sure enough, the car just doesn't go. You know, it starts up, but we get it going. I load everything, and it won't go but 4 or 5 miles an hour. So we pulled over to this, luckily we found a gas station there, and spent the night there. Or no, before we spent the night, the woman walked, or my girlfriend, walked into the house there. I said, do you mind if we stop here? We're not here to rob you, you know. And she says, yeah, no problem. My husband will come out and look at it in the morning. All right. So we spend the night. Here comes this guy out, right? And he goes, pop the hood. So what he does is he takes... Okay, we got an electric fan, you know?
Uh-huh.
And he takes the wire from the electric fan.
Runs it right to the battery.
It runs it right to the battery.
There you go.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're down the road, right? Okay. Then it overheats again. I'm going, geez. So I call my brother on Woodby Island, my brother Mike. You know, I say, hey, we're trying to get back down there. What's the trouble? And he says, what won't it do? And I says, well, it just feels like it's clogged up. You know, and it just won't do it. I put everything in it, high test gas and everything. He says, take a piece of steel, if you can find a piece of steel, and punch a hole in the Cadillac converter and grind it around in there and get rid of all that junk. And he says, that'll blow out of there. Right? So, what?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
This is
you're
good.
wrong. Are you kidding me? You're right as rain, man.
No.
Yeah.
So I go back over there to the place where we're at, and I see an old campfire grill, and I grab one of them rails, you know, that are laying there, and I punch it in there with the tire iron, grind it all around. Boy, here we go, me and the old lady, boy, 65 miles an hour. Boy, we're moving now. Anyway, I get down to Washington on Woodby Island and talk to my brother. Hey, do you like the trick? Yeah, I says, it worked great. Okay, we get back to Minnesota, and this wire, you know, it goes on and off, you know, and it doesn't work right. So I figure, what the hell? I'll throw a toggle switch on it. Well, I kept burning toggle switches off.
What wire is this?
What, for the fan, you mean?
Yeah.
We're back to the fan.
Oh, you still got the fan Mickey Mouse to the battery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, I'll just run a wire from the battery up underneath the car. I drilled a hole up. Beautiful car, you know. We got 350,000 miles on it, you know. So I says, well, I'll just put a toggle switch on it.
Uh-huh.
Well, the problem is the car starts up and everything fine, and all of a sudden when you turn on the toggle switch, the car goes way down, like it's really lugging hard. Now, did I mess with the computer, or did he mess with the computer in Canada, or what?
No, not really. What you need to do you still have that iron bar that you need to do the
use it on the windshield.
Yeah, I got
the computer.
It's
The catalytic. No, I suspect that because you've been running this electric fan continuously for like 45,000 miles.
Well, no. See, the toggle switch turns it off when you go in to get something to eat or something like that.
No, I understand it, but otherwise it's running all the time. And it has been running, that same fan, for 300,000 miles, off and on.
Yeah.
But that's the original one.
And it's fried.
And it may be that you're pulling so much current. That's why you burned up the switch. And that's why now when you turn the thing on, everything goes dim.
Yeah, because it's sucking so much current. And that fan should draw nothing. I would forget the toggle switch, because either you're going to forget to turn it on or you're going to forget to turn it off.
That's why we got the toggle switch.
Yeah, but you could actually go ahead.
It's warm.
But you could fix this the way it's supposed to be fixed. You could replace either the coolant temp sensor or the fan relay, whatever it is that's making the thing not work.
It may well be that the fan's been running 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I would think that you might have to go to the junkyard and get another used fan for $20 if you want to adhere to this philosophy.
Okay. So what you're saying is get another fan, and the RPMs won't go down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
This
you're
fan's
warming
just
it
drawing
up.
so much current that you're imposing a huge load on the charging system, and
it's going to burst into flame one of these days.
And you're going to burn out the alternator.
Don't laugh.
He's laughing.
He laughs. See?
It would not bother me at all.
Well, you've gotten your money's worth out of it.
You certainly
well,
have.
Geez, don't I get a record for having a?
We're gonna give you a record.
Cavalier for almost 400,000
Yeah.
miles.
Oh,
And the fact that you were able to effect 2 repairs on this car with a ratchet, with no sockets,
and a piece
of a
barbecue grill.
And the Cuban cigars.
And the Cuban cigars. I mean, you deserve something. You deserve some kind of award, Dave.
All right.
Yeah. Anytime during this trip when the car was malfunctioning, were you at all worried?
Yeah, actually, I did get a zit on top of my head.
Hey, Dave, anytime that car makes it to Boston, you give me a call and we will have coffee.
Me too.
Are you buying?
I will buy.
We'll buy you a new fan, too.
And I'll take it down on this and bombs. I'll get you a whole lifetime supply of fans. Thanks for
a
calling,
lot, guys.
Dave.
Don't mean to bother you, but
Bye,
thank you.
Now, there is a 1 in a million guy. There is a 1 in a million guy.
He was a lot of fun. Well, it's happened again. You've wasted another perfectly good hour listening to Car Talk. Our esteemed producer is Doug, the subway fugitive, not a slave to fashion Berman. Our associate producer and dean of the College of Automusicology is Ken Babyface Rogers. Our assistant producer is Catherine Crystal Ray. Our engineer is Jonathan Marston. Our technical, spiritual, and menu advisor is Mr. John S. Lawler. Our public opinion pollster is Paul Murky of Murky Research, assisted by statistician Margin Avera. Our director of new product repair is Warren T. Myfoot. Our staff butler from the Car Talk Mumbai division is Mahatma Kote. Our document security expert from the island of Jamaica is Euripides Upman. And our East Asian used car expert is Alexander Soldanissan.
Sold you a Nissan.
Our evasive driving instructor is Vera Abruptly. Our Boston traffic director is Laura Biden. Our director of moral support is Hugh DeMann. And our internet coordinator is W.E.B. the browser. And our Leo Tolstoy biographer is Warren Peace, author of Leo Tolstoy by Warren Peace. Our chief counsel from the law firm Dewey, Cheatham & Howe is Huey Lewis Dewey, known around Harvard Square as Huey Louie Dewey. Thanks so much for listening. We're Click and Clack, the Tapper Brothers, and don't drive like either of my siblings.
And don't drive like my brother or my sister.
We'll be back next week. Bye-bye.
And now, here with an important announcement is Car Talk Plaza's chief mechanic, Mr. Vincent Q. Bumbats. Vinny?
All right, now listen up. Now, if you want a copy of this week's Car Talk show, which is number 47, a pretty big number, huh? Here's what you got to do, all right?
Are you going now to give out the phone number, Vinny? Is that correct?
No, I'm going to do the Fox show with Mikhail Baryshnikov, you moron. The number to call is 303-823-8000.
And if a listener wanted our new CD about couples and cars, which is called Men Are From GM, Women Are From Ford, or they wanted anything else from our new holiday collection, would they use the same number, Vinny?
No, you'd call Dionne Warwick, you jerk, and utter it psychically.
Oh, thanks.
Now, for all kinds of Car Talk holiday gifts, you call 303-823-8000. Or you can peruse our shameless commerce division at cartalk.msn.com. You got anything to add to this, huh?
Yes, I was going to...
Yeah, shut up. Car Talk is a production of Dewey, Cheatham & Howe and WBUR in Boston.
And even though Bob Edwards pulls the covers back over his head every time he hears us say it, this is NPR, National Public Radio.
On The Indicator from Planet Money, we like to zoom in on big economic issues like tariffs and crypto and healthcare.
Let's have a healthcare system where people are kept healthy and not treated only when they're at the most expensive moment when they're sick.
Economic deep dives in 10 minutes or less every weekday. Listen to The Indicator from Planet Money wherever you get podcasts.
Hola, it's Sarah Gonzalez. At Planet Money, when we say we want you to understand the economy, sure, we mean tariffs and global supply chains and interest rates, cosas así, but also we shot a satellite into space. We made our own vodka, became a record label, made a comic book, all to help you make better sense of the world around you. Listen to the Planet Money podcast from NPR.
On NPR's Throughline, Schoolhouses are less expensive than rebellions.
We've been debating the government's role in education since the Civil War.
1/10 of our national debt would have saved us the blood and treasure of the late war.
How the Department of Education tried to fix a divided nation.
Listen to Throughline wherever you get your podcasts.